My name is Carlos Restrepo, and this is...
I wanted to talk about nutrition. You talked about nutrition and nutrition with regards to competition and how important it is to, go to a competition with that mindset in terms of like, I have my meals. I'm not just gonna go train really hard and then go to a place that's really competitive and eat like crap. Because it reminds me of summer programs. So summer programs in music, you audition, you go and you're at a camp and it's highly intensive. But then the food that you get isn't like the best, and it always like I've been to camps where the food has been amazing, like vegan cake amazing, which is very rare. But then I've also been to other camps where I've looked at the food and I'm like, I can't believe that you're asking this much from like 9-hour practices from the musicians.
And this is what I'm getting.
Exactly.
Right.
We always carry food with us. Like we have done
Always.
it. We have done it forever. Wherever we go, even if we're going to visit our kids, or if I go to band practice, I have a cooler with food. I have a cooler with food everywhere I go. Every time we travel, we'll take a bigger cooler or 2 coolers full of food, because
we don't eat out. We don't eat junk food. Like we don't. Well, I mean, we eat junk food, but we don't go to fast food restaurants. We don't go to McDonald's. We don't go to Burger King. We take our food with us.
Well, we went to the East Coast this summer, and we ate out twice
in 7 days. We ate out of the cooler the rest of the days. Yeah.
For the whole week. We always take our food with us.
Costco sized package of meat.
Yeah.
Cook it up, $30 worth of chicken, it's ready to go. Wraps and peppers and cheese and sausages.
It's
important.
If I do have to eat, I can tell. Like I can feel the difference. Just eating crappy food.
Don't get me wrong. Now, power lifters, you want to lift more weight, you got to be heavier, right? So, my coach told me, you want to lift more, you eat to grow. So, sometimes you do things that you really shouldn't have done, and then it's harder to take off, especially when you're older. But so you eat to grow, you get into the next weight category, which is fine because that's what your goal was, and then you can lift more. So, powerlifting, as far as nutrition goes, is you'll see us eating butter tarts on competition day, just for the sugar and the fuel. It's totally different than bodybuilders, where they're going to eat their chicken and broccoli and rice, and they're going to eat it cold because that's what they have to eat.
So I wanted to ask you, how important has it been to have a support team? To have the two of you there, or even family, just to be able to support you on your journey.
We're probably our biggest supporters of each other, for sure. So,
I feel like it's not something that you could do without the support, because for our powerlifting training was 2 to 3 hours at a time. So if I wasn't there, or if he wasn't there, and we're absent from each other's lives that many times, 3 hours, 4 times a week, traveling to these meets every week, like weekends, and
I think it's important.
It's very important.
Definitely, just for motivation and to have somebody there to, make sure that you have everything you need. And
like I was Ken's handler, because he was lifting in gear, and Ken would wrap my knees, and
you just have to have you definitely have to have a good support system. If you were constantly being, you're not going to train tonight, you're not doing this, you're there for 2 hours, you're there for 3 hours, you're not going to, I could see it wearing you down pretty quick. So, We're lucky to do stuff like that together, I guess. And same thing with the kettlebell stuff. We always, you know, support each other for that as well too. I don't know. I guess we make a pretty good team. So.
We've been married 20 years, so I guess.
Holy jumping.
But I mean, the music is different. I don't have a musical bone in my body. I'm not talented at all like that, but I'm a stagehand and I help lift the gear and I unpack and I unload and, you know, I take videos, and so although I'm not a musician, I'm still part of the band. I still support.
Yeah,
And,
I think that's huge. I think, for example, I've seen so many musicians that haven't had that support, and how hard that journey has been. Just because I think the idea of explaining yourself constantly, or getting to the point of ignoring that it's still a mental workout to just continue to do your work, maybe knowing that there's disapproval. Because I feel immensely fortunate with the support that I've had, and I don't think I would have been able to get through my ups and downs musically if it wasn't for the support of the people that I have around me.
It means the world.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's important.
And I wanted to talk about this idea, and this is from you, Sheri, this idea of paving it forward, and this idea of kind of it makes me think like what happens when you're injured, or perhaps when you're going through a tough time, but you see someone else and you want to make sure that you're providing the experiences that you've had and you're kind of passing that over. How important has that been for you guys to, you know, you're so accomplished, but to still not be selfish with that knowledge and to give it back?
Well, probably the best thing that happened with us was we became sponsored with Elite FTS, and their motto was live, learn, pass on. And with what we were doing, well, I had more injuries than Ken did, believe it or not, but you know, surgeries and setbacks, but it's so important to keep on giving. And yeah, I'm injured, I can't train, but I can still help you, and I can still coach you, and I can still blog and teach you, you know, pay it forward. And you get things from people, like we get so much information, and we're so blessed with the circle of people that we have no choice but to give back. You know, we provided the high-end quality equipment and our services, and we didn't charge people. We opened our house and our gyms, and for people, just we paid it forward. Like, we got for free, we give for free. You know, it's kind of like the way life works, should work anyways.
We've never charged anybody to come here when we were training together for at least 5 years, 6 years in here with everybody. And you know, we've had people in here, I don't know, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week. You know, sometimes we've had, anytime anybody call us up to, you know, want to come down, and everybody's more than welcome. We always had people drop in, and people drive down from Ottawa, or people drive down from wherever, and you know, just to work out. So
I think
that's kind of our.
I guess I always used to think, what can I give? Like, well, what can I offer to people? And I'm just a regular kind of an old lady, you know. What can I give? And then I think, well, if even one blog or one statement helps one person, then my job is done. I've helped somebody achieve, right? And you know, I've helped people lose 100 pounds. I've helped people, you know, from a frozen shoulder to here, compete in a 10-minute kettlebell set. I've helped people like with lots of things, but you know, and I'm blessed to be able to say that I've done that, and I'm sure there's way more stuff that I could pay forward, but I just never stop wanting to help.
We've been very fortunate, so you know, we never turned people down, and you know, I've had guys over here from work, you know, want to learn how to deadlift because every time they deadlift they hurt their back. Or I've had other guys, you know, like I had one firefighter from Richmond Hill said, every time I squat, I want to squat, but every time I squat, it's killing my knees. Well, he came over here and straightened him up and put some tape on the floor and showed him how he should be lining everything up and stuff. And he left here, he couldn't believe he was squatting with no knee pain. So, you know, just little things. I think sometimes little things make a big difference. And I mean, it's a little bit of time here and there, and a little bit of, you know, helping people out isn't. That's just kind of, we've always been that way.
Yeah.
Never.
But I think we learned more of the traits once we were given so much throughout our sponsorship, and you know, through Elite FTS and Westside Barbell, and they gave to us, and then we just kind of just kept going, pay it forward, and you
Like
know.
Louis Simmons was amazing when we first met him. We went we bought our first few powerlifting bars, and we went down to see West Side Barbell for the first time, and you know, we got there, and he was there, Louis was there, and we asked, you know, we told him we drove down from Toronto, and he said, oh, that's pretty cool, and I said, is there any chance we'd be able to see the gym? And he goes, oh yeah, come on over. And then we weren't even, you know, he says, there's nobody training right now. They have their morning crew and their night crew, but I'll show you some stuff. And we were probably in there with just the three of us for probably 3 hours,
Yeah.
showing us everything. And here's my cell phone number. You ever want to come down? Just ever want to come down and train? Give us a call. You know, we've been out for dinner with him. Like, I mean, he's just.
And one time Ken went without me and
Amazing.
said, "Where's your wife?"
Oh yeah, yeah. He's a
Yeah,
very
so.
awesome person. You know, there's a lot of people that really are in the powerlifting world. That's for sure. You ask, you know, people are scared. All these big guys ask them a question, and most of the time, you ask a question, and they're more than happy to help. You know, or offer advice or point you in the right direction at least. So we're very lucky, very fortunate.
Yeah, it reminds me of this idea of being a diplomat for what you do. I think sometimes it makes me think of a concert. So you just performed a concert, and sometimes people come up to you backwards or backstage, and they want to have conversations with you. And it almost makes me think, as a performer, you still have to give back. You still have to
For
sit
sure.
there. And I think sometimes, especially with like powerlifting or any sport, it can be so individualistic. You forget that, like, that 5-minute conversation with somebody that just saw you perform, that might be, you know, what they talk about in dinner.
Oh, yeah.
And they show up and they're like, hey, I got to talk to this person and they were really, really cool.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And even with outreach concerts, like, for example, it makes me think about the seminar that you guys did. Like, there might have been somebody there that has never used kettlebells before, and you can be that experience to give somebody something new.
Right. Exactly.
So it makes me think like classical music, going out to a place where, you know, people don't even know that music, and then just being that first experience.
So I wanted to ask you guys, what is your attitude towards coaching and teaching?
You are my priority if I'm coaching you. Period. Like, I don't care if I'm coaching this guy or this guy, but your program is going to be completely different than this guy and this guy and this guy, because nobody is the same. So it all depends on your strengths and your weaknesses and your technique and your goals and your schedule. Do you work 24-hour shifts?
Yeah.
You don't, you do. Okay, well, how am I going to just go flick, 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 all the same templates for everybody? You have to work with each person individually to be an effective coach. And as a coach, like, you have to care about each one of those guys. Because if I don't care, I'm just going to go, there's yours, there's yours, there's yours. You know what I mean? You have to find a coach that really cares about what you want to achieve and that knows something.
It almost makes me feel like somebody that's prideful in teaching. I think sometimes
100%.
people take for granted just the word teacher, and I think to be a teacher in anything, rather, you know, something else that I think about when we have this conversation is experience.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in music, sometimes I'll talk to somebody that's older and maybe they did piano or violin, but because that experience wasn't great, therefore this person doesn't have that same type of relationship. And it's funny because I think even with training of any type, rather somebody aims to be a professional or not, that experience is what determines if this person even wants to be a fan, if they even want to purchase, if they even want to invest. And I think sometimes people get so caught up with the idea of, like, they forget that regardless of whether this person will be a professional in this or not, they will still be able to invest in this industry. And if people keep having continuous negative experiences because of lack of caring or lack of value for even being a teacher, then this industry is slowly, you know, it's going south.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I
true.
agree 100%. And, you know, like, and that's why, like, I've had, you know, I've had a lot of people ask about coaching and stuff, and I'm just, you know, unless I can work with somebody, I'm very selfish that way. Unless I can work with you, one-on-one, I'm not interested.
You talk about teachers and coaches, but Ken and I make a great team when we teach our kettlebells because we teach kind of different but the same, but we can give you a cue that you might pick up better from me or him, you know.
There might be, just like you said, to get that gold nugget, you know, Sheri might be able to see something that I'm a little bit differently than I do, and be able to just tweak it just a little bit.
Right.
To
And it's funny because
to get somebody to go,
when I used to teach my girls downstairs, there was one girl I just could not get her to get what I was trying to tell her, no matter what I would. So I would say, Ken, can you come down and help so and so? He'd come down and he'd just give her a different cue, and she's like, oh, okay, now I get it.
yeah.
So then the other night, Ken had his friend downstairs training him on Monday nights like he does, and he was trying to teach him the clean. Well, you know how to master the clean now, right? And he wasn't getting it, so Ken called me down. He says, can you just come and look for a few minutes and just try and help out? So I did, and as soon as he did too, I'm like, stop, set the bell down, da 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 da, and he was able to relate to what I had to say because he wasn't getting what Ken was teaching him.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, sometimes you can have one or two different coaches and they'll still be helpful. It's not too confusing, but I think we make a pretty good team with our kettlebell teaching.
It's good to have another pair of eyes sometimes.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing with powerlifting. Like with the crew that we had here was great because everybody always had a little bit of input or saw something a little bit differently, and it was always, you know, it was always constructive criticism, and it always made everybody better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's the great thing about working together in a team environment or in a group environment like that, where everybody's focused in on what you're doing, and you know, it's never a, well, that sucked or that sucked. It's always like, I think you just need to push up your knees a little bit more here, or you know, you're not sitting back quite enough, or you know, and it's all the little things that kind of, you know, take everybody more into a positive direction.
And I remember when I did the seminar, we had smaller people stuff, bigger people stuff.
Long arms, short arms,
Yeah.
T-Rex.
And it's funny because it's in music. Sometimes you'll see someone play something and it's words, because words have different cultural meanings to different people, and it makes people move in a different way. And it definitely reminds me of just like doing something like kettlebells, where the idea of like a hip hinge, if you explain it with just one word differently, suddenly there's a click in that person's head, and it may be reflective on how they perceive movement, on what language they speak.
Right.
So,
and I don't know, like you know, like we said, or like I was saying earlier, is that we were so lucky to be able to go down and train at Westside Barbell and train at Elite FTS and be around so many people. I could probably name 20 awesome lifters, and every time you get it, and you're all training and you're doing different stuff, and every time, and it's just like you just get that,
I learn so much.
You know, that oh man, and then it just changes everything. Just the way that somebody explains something, or just the way that somebody says, this is the way that I do it, and you go, wow.
this is the last thing that I wanted to say. Now, you guys have provided me with an immense amount of great information, but I wanted to ask you, is there any piece of advice that you would give anyone else, just based off your life experience? Is there something that you can say, you know what, yeah, this is my motto, or this is something that is important for people to think about?
Well, I always go by the live, learn, pass on. So you need to live your experiences, and you need to learn from them, and then you need to pass it on. Like, you need to let others know what's available out there and how much better they can make their life just by experiencing these things, and not to limit themselves, and not to take a chance, not to, you know, there's an opportunity, don't negate it, and don't think, oh, that's not for me. Give it a try. You never know what's out there.
I would just say, you know, like Sheri, try different things. Don't let anybody talk you out of doing anything. There's so much negativity around with, it seems like you want to surround yourself with positive people, positive, like-minded people, people that are good influence, and people that bring you up to your next level, people that support you. And, you know, don't be scared to try anything new. Man, you know, and don't use age as a crutch. You know, I think that we're going to be alive and kicking for a long time yet, and doing some, you know, like I feel like we're just getting started doing everything. Like I still think there's so much more stuff that we're going to accomplish yet before we're done. And you know, be a positive influence, lead by example, and be a good person. You know, if you're a good person and you do good things for other people, then stuff comes your way. And that's what's happened for us. It seems like, you know, like you treat people well, and you always seem to do the right thing, and you go a little bit above and beyond for people, and you never turn anybody away, and good things will happen. You know.
Thank you for watching, guys. If you missed part 1, here it is. All the best.